Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the February 17th, 2026 meeting of the Board of Education for Arlington Heights School District 25. We're so glad all of you are here with us tonight. So before we begin, I want to share with you that our meetings are when the school board conducts its business and are open to the public. Because we are an elected governmental body, we can only take action by majority vote in a public meeting like this one. We welcome the public to listen and observe, and we have community input sections on the agenda if you have questions or comments on the business of the board. With that, I call the regular meeting to order. And Ms. O'Brien, will you please call the roll?
Neerman?
Here.
Tranter?
Here.
Jogi? Here. Scapalato?
Here.
Michael?
Here.
Buchberger?
Here.
Cerniglia?
Here. Thank you, Lana. And everyone, if you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We reserve the first space on our agenda every month to recognize notable accomplishments and service of District 25 students and staff. And again, we thank all of you for being here for tonight's recognitions, despite your busy schedules. Tonight, we're going to recognize student accomplishments in spelling and basketball. So we'll start with the district spelling bee participants, and I'll turn it over to Dr. K.
Thank you very much, President Scapalato. I'm excited to recognize 3 groups tonight, 2 from Thomas and 1 on behalf of our district for the spelling bee. I'd like to introduce Kim Kusil, who helped run and organize the spelling bee. I will take a moment as Kim's coming up. Kim is a huge fan of the microphone. She enjoys spelling everything she's going to say to you. I know you won't, but I appreciate you being here to recognize the students who participated. That is very kind of you. So without further ado, please welcome Kim Kusil.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I do like a microphone, but it's so nice to see so many of you here and lots of fun favorite faces from my Olive School days, so thanks for being here. I am here today, though, as your literacy coordinator to honor our super spellers at our district spelling bee, which was hosted on January 21st. It was at Thomas Middle School, and it's just an honor to celebrate these students for both athletic events and academic events. So we have 6 students that advanced from our schools, and so I'd like to call them up now. And representing South, I have Mira, Dino, and Olivia. So if you're here, come on up. Olivia is here. Thanks. And you can come on this side. And representing Thomas, I hope you're all here, we have Anya, Rianch, and Candace. So we have Anya. Thank you. And I just wanted to share that each student, there were 6 participants. They all brought class, camaraderie, and respect for spelling and for each other. And Candace was our winner of our district spelling bee. She'll be advancing to the regional bee, which is hosted later this month by Scripps. And the winning word was cadre. If you know that word, it's spelled C-A-D-R-E. And we're just so proud of you. So thank you for being here and coming out tonight. Thanks.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you, students, for being here tonight. Let's do a photo with the board. So parents, if you want to get your phones ready, we'll have our communications gentlemen capture some video as well. M-I-D-D-L-E. Congratulations, you guys. All right, next we have 2 groups to be recognized from Thomas Middle School. both 7th grade groups, 7th grade boys, 7th grade girls. So before we even get to recognizing you, I have expectations that next year we'll be in the same spot at the same time. Coach Keeler is here to say a couple words and recognize you. So if I could have you guys welcome up Coach Brad Keeler. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I know I was getting a clicker and
You're getting it all.
twice as long, sorry, than the last one.
Do you want this up here?
Sure, appreciate it. All right, well, good evening, and thank you guys for showing up here tonight and showing your support for our girls and our boys. And thank you to the board for allowing me to speak tonight. I'm incredibly proud to present our 7th grade girls basketball team and represent them and just share how special they actually were this season. Going 15-1 overall, winning regionals, winning sectionals, and making a state playoff run as one of the top 8 teams in Illinois was a huge accomplishment. And that's a huge accomplishment at any level, but especially for a group this young. It's a testament to their hard work, commitment, and willingness to believe in each other from day one. Over the course of our season, they showed discipline, resilience, and teamwork. They learned how to compete the right way by supporting one another, holding each other accountable, and never backing down when things got tough. In fact, I'd be lying, girls, if I thought that there wasn't one moment during that regional championship that I thought we were going down. But you guys rallied back, and you showed me that you actually really wanted that game, and I really appreciate that. But they grew not only as players, but as teammates. So I have that picture as well. And the growth is what carried them all the way to state. But what I'm most proud of goes beyond just the wins and losses. I watched individuals not only grow in their individual skills, but I also watched some become leaders. A special shout out to Katie Neary because, again, I asked a lot of her this season, and not only did she rise to the occasion, but she led this team to that state. So appreciate it. I think off the court, these athletes represented our school and community with character. In class, they showed respect to their teachers, their classmates, officials, and their opponents. They worked hard in the classroom. They encouraged one another, and they understand what being part of a team means. It's being more responsible than just for yourself. Truly a well-rounded group of athletes, and I'm excited for their futures, not just in basketball, but in whatever path they choose. So I look forward to following your journeys, cheering you guys on as you continue your basketball careers, and seeing the kind of leaders you guys become off the court. Couldn't be prouder of that team. So without further ado, our team is Ade Malaku, Katie Neary, Emma Amos, Samantha Voskowski, Isla Orladino, Livy Reynolds, Vera Kozak, Lucy Dalton, Addie Corba, Lucy Weaver, Brooklyn Buccarelli, and Leighton Maddox, and Julia Jervis.
Principal Nomowitz, I see you in the crowd. We want you in the photo as well. Thanks for being here. Congratulations, you guys. Thank you. That was done in the spirit of ladies first. Thank you for waiting for the gentleman to go next. So, Coach Keeler, you have the gentleman as well.
You guys are stuck with me for one more. All right, boys, please take a moment and really understand and reflect upon what you guys accomplished this season. An overall record of 19-4 doesn't actually happen by accident. It happens because of the hard work, commitment, and showing up each and every day to compete. Although 4 losses doesn't sound as good as an undefeated team, we had a very strong schedule this season, and we hosted 2 of the top 3 teams from state. So in my mind, We were one of the best teams possible. Playing tough teams and overcoming adversity was an expectation we set from day one. You all rose to the occasion and became regional champions, sectional champions, and then finished 4th in the state of Illinois. That means that there's only 3 other teams in the whole state that finished ahead of you, and that's something to be incredibly proud of. I'm also incredibly proud that we were able to create a team of players that came from 3 different feeder teams who never worked together, and in fact, what I'm told is you were constantly put up in competition and smack talking and all that good stuff. But you really came together as a large group this year, and I'm hoping that you guys made friendships that'll last a lifetime. But what I'm most proud of isn't just the trophies and the record, it's the way that you guys played the game. You guys played for each other. You hustled, you sacrificed, and you represented yourselves, your families, and this program the right way each and every time you stepped on the court. And also in Thomas. The energy throughout the building each day was felt in the hallways when you guys literally traveled in like groups just to go out of your way to give me a fist bump or "What's up, coach?" All those kind of things, and it really just speaks volumes about their character and the type of people that they are off the court as well. Whatever happens next year in terms of coaching, this season set an ongoing standard. People now know who we are and they know how we play. Remember this feeling. Remember this success and use it as motivation moving forward. Enjoy it, be proud of it, and never forget what you're capable when you work together. Great season, fellas. And so our 7th grade team was JB Gander, Sean Park, Nick Knuth, Gavin O'Neill, Camden Magsino, Barrett Irvin, Camden Choi, Ryan Manis, Kurt Peterson, Michael Matthew, Rafael Melendez, Tyler Molina, and Nolan Goheen.
All right, let's take one more group photo. Thanks for coming back up, Principal Nomowitz. I think many of us will have to stand on the side. Parents, feel free to come on up if you want to take some photos. All right, hold for the parents. Oski. Wow for Illinois. Congratulations, boys.
40 games, 1 coach. Same season, he coached 15.
40 games. Yeah. Coach Keeler, I was told you coached 40 games this season. Is that correct? Yeah, between the two, not bad. And a total loss? Yeah, congratulations. All right, so some might say this is the appetizer for the big main meal at a board meeting. If you're like me, the appetizer is the best part of the meal. So we offer you an opportunity to, at this point, gracefully exit the meeting if you're not interested in staying for the main meal. So thank you again, everyone, for coming for the recognition portion. We appreciate it.
All right, everyone, we're going to continue on, and we're at the communications from district partners. And so I see in our audience, Erin Lekomsky is here. Welcome, Erin, and please step forward. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you. I never in a million thought with all that we would actually time out my time at 7:20 here. So, there is something special at each of your seats that I'll get to in a moment. First, I'll be doing the Arlington Heights Council of PTAs update. So we're going to start with saying Happy Founders Day, everybody. Today is Founders Day, actually, on the 17th. So we're going to start with a history lesson. This is when we celebrate the legacy and the work of the PTA founders. Alice Burney, Phoebe Hurst, and Selena Butler. They had the dream to better the lives of every child's education, health, and safety. Our founders represented women of imagination and courage. The idea was simple, to improve the lives and future of all children. These women understood the power of individual action and worked well beyond the accepted barriers of their day when this was formed. Currently, Illinois PTA alone boasts 42,000 members. PTA remains the largest volunteer child advocacy organization in the nation, so thank you for being part of our legacy. Now locally, Pack the Piggies is a fundraiser that we do at schools this spring. It's a school-led effort to fundraise for our scholarships. The overall goal is $1 donated per student, and individual school admins can choose when this fits best into their schedule to do. This leads me to the annual scholarship breakfast coming up, held here in this room on May 1st, so please mark your calendars for that. Local unit reports include many parent-centered events in these cold months. We all sort of tend to flock indoors and focus a lot on bingo nights, trivia nights. Units provided lots of refreshments for teachers and staff yesterday at conferences, meals, and snacks. There's many events going on at local units, including book fairs and reading challenges, family days at both the Chicago Wolves and the Windy City Bulls games, Healthy Kids gym nights, and several student-led service projects, plus dine and earns, just to name a small selection. This is also the time of year we start advertising in all local units, and the council is looking for volunteers to fill open board positions for next year. Nominees need to be current PTA members and will be officially voted in this May. So if any of you know anyone out there who would be an excellent candidate, please consider nominating them. There are forms online to do that. And it can be for either a school level position or a council level position. They're open all over. And also I'm going to trade hats here. I've been given permission to give a little update from the Music for Youth program. I'm a Music for Youth parent. That's what this little envelope is about at each one of your spaces there. Music for Youth is always busy and ready to share the joy of string music. Holiday performances were held at all elementary schools. They were very well received and everyone enjoyed them. You can never hear Jingle Jingle too many times from a little tiny violin student. Music for Youth has 3 levels of orchestra. Our first orchestra, the reading orchestra, learned that there are actually living composers out there. We tend to think that composers are no longer living, but they actually got to play a piece for one and ask him questions. So that was super exciting for them. And also for our top orchestra, the string orchestra, high school directors from all of our feeder programs have come to work with those students so that they know what is coming up the pike for them with our most excelled students. In April, we have Fiddle Fest coming up. That's an event that's super fun. It'll be held at Thomas in the gym on April 23rd after school. Students learn fiddle tunes, pop tunes, and enjoy getting to share their music in a super relaxed environment. Music for Youth regularly tours playing the national anthem. Some people know this, some people don't, but we've been hitting the road. We're playing a Boomers game on July 18th. Which is super fun. Tickets are available to all, so keep a watch for that. It's a big fundraiser for us, and it is very fun through the summertime. We have also been asked to come back to Soldier Field for our second visit with the Chicago Fire. So that game will be on October 10th. So mark your calendars for 10/10. It's Saturday. We have very affordable tickets that will be going up for sale, and we are trying an unprecedented collaboration with multiple Suzuki programs around the Chicago area. So we should easily have 150 to 200 students playing the national anthem together that day. So if you've ever wanted to go to a fire game, perhaps with a whole bunch of people from Arlington Heights. Please mark that in your calendar. That'll be October 10th. Which brings me to the biggest event of all, a spring concert. Your personal invite is in each of these envelopes I laid for you. Please note the new venue and timing for the event. We're going to be on a Friday night this year. We're usually a Sunday afternoon. So we're going to be on a Friday evening. Spring concert is really magic on stage, from the tiniest twinkler to the most advanced pieces. It's really amazing to see how far these students have come, either in several years or just in a few months with some of the little tiny tots that are out there playing. Spring concert is also when we award scholarships for students who wish to continue their study over the summer at camp. So we announce a lot of great things that day. It's also the biggest fundraiser that we do of the year, with many prizes to be won, and we'd love for you to take part in that. So we really hope to see you there. We'll keep an eye out for you and make sure that you get a prime seat, okay? Thank you so much for letting me report on both of these things tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Erin. We appreciate you being here. It's great to see you. And so now we're going on to ABC 25, and I believe we have an update from Gina.
We do, and I'm going to smile all the way through. Thank you, Gina, for sending me this to read. On behalf of Gina and her team with the ABC 25 Foundation, ready for a hole in fun? Join ABC 25 at Topgolf. It gets better. Swing into action on Sunday, March 15th from 1 to 4 p.m. at Topgolf Schaumburg. Whether you're a pro or just there for a terrific vibes, it's going to be a day of high fives and heavy hitters, all to support our AHSD 25 classrooms. Choose your way to play. The full experience, a private bay for up to 6 golfers, solo swinger, single golfer ticket, will pair you up. The social butterfly, spectator ticket for those who prefer to party over the putter. Every ticket includes 3 hours of play, tasty appetizers, non-alcoholic beverages, a live DJ, local freebies, and access to our exclusive in-person raffle. Yes. 100% of the proceeds go directly to Arlington Heights School District 25 teacher grants. Last year's generosity was record-breaking. Let's do it again. Can't make it out to the golf outing but still want to support the foundation? Our raffle and silent auctions are online. The drawing will be held at Topgolf Schaumburg during the ABC 25 for Education golf fundraiser. Winners will be announced and notified by mail or email with instructions on how to receive the items. You do not need to be a member of ABC 25 Foundation or attend the fundraiser to participate in the raffle. Choose from 4 high-value silent auctions, 20-plus tiered raffles. Participation and logistics, raffle tickets are $5, or bundles 3 for $10, 5 for $15. Hope you're memorizing this. Open to everyone, foundation membership or event attendance is not required. All bidding and ticket purchases are handled through our online portal, and last, entries close strictly at 3 p.m. on Sunday, March 15th. For more information, visit abc25.org. Thank you, ABC 25 Foundation and Gina.
All right, and thank you, Dr. K, for sharing that report. So now, Allison Burr, we are ready for this month's ATA report. Welcome.
All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you for allowing me to give a little update, news from the schools. I always appreciate the opportunity to share what's going on around the district. I think my pictures are out of order. Let's see. Nope. Last week, we reached 100 days of school. If you are an elementary teacher, it's a really big deal. We had celebrated 100 days with most of the kindergartners. I heard second grade celebrated 101 days and dressed like Dalmatians. I heard these teachers right here celebrated 103 days since they are third grade teachers. Everybody got into the spirit. Lots of little old ladies, 5-year-olds, and men with canes and, you know, their pearls and all their things. So it's a fun day in the elementary buildings for 100 days of school. Everybody was in the spirit. This happens to be one of my favorite pictures ever. It was a late edition. This would be a kindergarten classroom. That little boy there, the lover boy shirt, brought flowers for all the girls in his kindergarten classroom on Valentine's Day. And that is just one example of Valentine's Day at the elementary schools. But that picture is like pretty priceless if you ask me. So funny. The teacher was like, it was like The Bachelor in my classroom. Roses for everyone. Okay. Here is a picture of our kindergarten students at Windsor actually using their lava tiles from the ABC 25 grant to practice isolating phonemes when decoding CVC words. So ABC 25 grant in action, actually in action. Her feet, I think, are off the ground. Oh no, this is Windsor. Windsor School also, oh, I lost the slide on this one. This is Windsor School playing Cupid Valentine's games during gym class at Windsor School. Also a good time had by all students there. This is a picture of South Middle School hosted the Sweetheart Volleyball Tournament 2 weekends ago with games at both South and Thomas. There were 8 teams total playing a tournament round robin style. This was for both 7th and 8th grade girls. The 8th grade girls from South took first place. And there's a couple of pictures from there. Another picture. Highlights from the LMC. Olive Mary Stitt, the 5th graders are working on Revolutionary War research. Students worked in research teams to take notes about Rev War. They created slideshows about their topics. They met with their home teams to share their slideshows and used the jigsaw method to teach everyone else in their class about it. And then they made a played a Blook It game to test their new knowledge. Also, 4th graders at Olive worked in teams to research renewable energy sources. They'll represent their energy source in a class debate. Their goal was to convince the state energy panel that their type of energy is the best form of renewable energy to use for the future. Greenbrier, 5th graders, looks like Tinkercad space colonies, as students researched space colonies and then created a space colony with Tinkercad. It's a CAD program allowing students to work with 3D modeling and block coding. Very cool. 3rd graders at Greenbrier used the Dash robots and aliens. They read a book called We Are Definitely Human about aliens visiting Earth, and then they programmed their Dash robots to visit each planet in the solar system. 3rd graders also read Testing the Ice, a true story about Jackie Robinson, and they made predictions about the best way to melt ice, and then they did their experiments to test their predictions. All in the LMC, might I add. Students also, at Windsor, students applied their classroom science learning to determine if their Spiros were experiencing force or friction. Windsor 2nd graders learned about Zaha Hadid and her work as an architect, and they built their own skyscrapers using Legos. Always a good time. Ivy Hill 3rd through 5th graders learned about New York Times bestselling author James Riley, and then they met the author the next week. He walked the kids through the writing process he used to write his bestselling books. Ivy Hill kindergartners read Accept Antarctica using clues from the book and their coding skills. They programmed the bee-bots to move to the correct animals. Celebrating 2026 Caldecott Medal Award winners in all the LMCs. The Patton LMC, they did a Build a Heart Simple STEM challenge, and there's the kids building all their hearts. They also had a Monarch reading night and a book swap at Patton. Dryden, the students signed up to share their collections. Thanks to their friends for bringing in the special items. It's also a very exciting thing at Windsor School, too. Kindergartners were practicing their CVC words in the LMC using a variety of different tools. And then we have 8th grade pictures. I'm moving on to a picture day at South. These are South 8th graders. It must have been 8th grade picture day, so I got a whole slew of 8th grade pictures. So these are some of our future 8th grade grads getting ready, right? Here we go, all in their white dresses, ready for graduation, coming up soon. And that's it, guys. Lots of fun things going on around the district. Yeah, from kindergarten all the way through 8th grade. I know those 8th graders, it's like only February, but it goes by pretty fast, and I know they're already getting, excited for their graduation days. So, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Allison.
Thanks. Whoa. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
Now is the time in the agenda we set aside for community input. If a member of the public wishes to address any item on tonight's agenda, we ask that you please complete one of the blue forms provided on the table on that side of the room and hand the card to Lana O'Brien. Please note on your card if you wish to speak now at the first community input opportunity, or if you wish to speak later, should we have a second community input opportunity. But there are no requests at this time, so we'll continue right on to board communications. And so, to my colleagues, any updates you have that you'd like to share this month about what's going on?
Mr. President?
Yes.
I just
Deb.
have a super quick one. I would like to express both how impressed and proud I am of the students who are participating in our strategic planning. When we have our meetings, they are so vested in their participation and having their voices heard. So it just reminds me how incredibly proud I am of our students that have signed up to participate, and how grateful I am that we have their voice in the strategic planning.
That's great. Thank you, Deb. Other? Yeah, please, Liz.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was lucky enough to attend the Thomas Middle School POMS competition that they hosted, and we have such talented dancers at both South and Thomas. But the most impressive thing to me was looking over to the side and to see all the girls in our district supporting each other and really cheering each other on. So it was wonderful. And congratulations to the coaches and the girls and the entire staff that stayed at Thomas to keep that event running. It was awesome.
All right. Thank you, Liz.
Mr. President, I would just like to give a shout out to the ML teachers at Windsor and to the Windsor community in general, who have really pulled together this month to support some of our Windsor families in need. They've been collecting food nonstop, and it's just been really amazing to see them come together and support our community. So thank you so much to the Windsor community and teachers.
Thank you, Melissa. Others? Anisha?
Yeah, Mr. President. It was great. This last week, Science Olympiad was hosted at Thomas Middle School, and all these schools from all over came right here to our school at Thomas Middle School. And lots and lots of kids everywhere. And they also hosted a food drive, which then was picked up by the Wheeling community, and so that was great for the students to do. So kudos to all the students who participated there, so that was great. Another thing, I've been out and about a little bit in the community, going to groups that I haven't visited before. Is I went to a meeting, I was invited to the Rotary of Arlington Heights meeting, so that was kind of interesting to visit and see all the leaders and the non-for-profits and the community groups that come together. So that was neat to see. And then I went to the Bears press conference, and even though we are not, people think as a school district that we're affiliated with that stadium area, we aren't. However, it was good to kind of support our school board, fellow school board areas from District 15, District 214, District 211. They were there, and District 214's board spoke at that press conference as well. So it was great to hear them kind of make a case for the Bears Stadium kind of staying here in Illinois. So that was interesting to see. So it was just good to see what a vibrant community we have and all these different organizations and non-for-profits that we have going.
Great. Thank you, Anisha. I have an update, but I want to check myself. Kevin, we went to the EdRed meeting since our last meeting, right? Yeah. Here? Okay, great. Because I was going to update on the night, and I was like, So, yes, so that we had an EdRed legislative dinner, and Congressman Brad Snyder spoke, and I don't have notes on what he talked about, but rather the tone of his speech was really well received because, as you might imagine, his staff prepares a speech that's appropriate for the group he's in front of, and then he took it and just set it to the side and spoke from his heart about his personal experience as a parent, as a individual, and what education has impacted him and his family. So it was really well received, but also just really appreciate that event. At our table, we got to sit with Nicole Grassi and just talk to her one-on-one or as a small group about things on our mind, and just informal, and so many of the things we do are structured like that. The event you went to, Anisha, but to have that informal conversation and build that relationship and just share our story that way is it's just a great opportunity. So I really appreciated that. So, okay, so with that, we're moving, speaking of Ed Red, I did that on purpose, Kevin. We're going to turn it over to you for the legislative report.
Excellent transition there. Thank you. So in addition to attending the legislative dinner that Greg was just mentioning, last week on the 13th, I attended the monthly EdRed meeting. This one was a virtual only meeting, and they packed a lot of content into 1 hour on this meeting, so I do have quite a few topics to share on. First of all, the meeting started with a legislative update from representatives from Robin Schwartz, Matthew Swift, and Natalie Jacobowski, I hope I'm pronouncing their names correctly, shared some updates on the Safe Schools for All Act and on some legislation around artificial intelligence. So Safe Schools for All Act, Dr. K has actually shared a lot of information about this with us already as a board, but just as a refresher, this went into effect on January 1st. And the nutshell description of the act is to make sure that no student can be denied a free public education based on their perceived or their actual immigration status. But they went into some of the finer points of this act that in addition, for example, it's not permissible for a district to exclude a child from participating in particular school or district activities or clubs or sports based on their perceived or actual immigration status. It's also not permitted to threaten to disclose a student's or a family's immigration status by any member of the district for any reason. And then another thing that they shared was that although this act went into effect on January 1st, there are additional procedures that districts are expected to have implemented no later than July 1st of this calendar year regarding any requests from law enforcement for information about students or families within the district. So we already know that we cannot disclose personal information about a student to law enforcement, but there are a lot of, what if scenarios that could involve different types of warrants or different types of federal statutes that might override state or local mandates and things like that. So there's a lot of extra detail that goes into it, and a lot of that information has already been updated in Press Plus. So we will see that reflected in our policies, but I just wanted to share some of those updates that were shared with us in the meeting. Let's see, there was something, and then artificial intelligence. So one of the new acts that went into effect, Public Act 103-0804, basically says that the use of AI that would result in any influence on an employment decision is unlawful because it could inadvertently or intentionally discriminate against certain categories of potential employees. And then there is a proposed act, SB 2909, that would amend the school code to prohibit evaluators from using AI tools to assign scores or qualitative ratings to any teacher under evaluation. It does not prohibit the use of AI tools by administrators or evaluators to support them in completing an evaluation, but if they choose to do so, they are also going to be required, if this law passes, to disclose those tools being used to the teacher or employee being evaluated. They did have a minor update on Tier 2 pension reform. So Senate Bill 1937 has been proposed to amend the Illinois Pension Code For Tier 2 employees, it would reduce the retirement age to a variety, depending on, age 62 if the individual has the maximum service credit required by TRS, age 65 with a minimum of 20 years of service credit, or age 67 with 10 years of service credit. And it would increase the automatic annual increase of cost of living adjustments for retirees as well. And it would also reduce the number of years of earnings used to determine the final average salary of earnings for retired teachers. So this did pass the House committee, but according to what they shared with us at the meeting before it goes to the Senate, Governor Pritzker has a lot of adjustments that he is recommending or requesting be made. So don't know how far that will get or how soon we'll find out more about it, but it definitely will impact all Illinois school districts if it goes through. The next one, this was a topic that actually came up last year in a bill that did not pass, but another representative has brought it forward again. House Bill 3772 would prohibit the use of suspensions for any students in kindergarten through 2nd grade for any reason in elementary schools, unless required by law, I should say. And then a decision to suspend a student in kindergarten through 2nd grade for 3 or more days could only be made if that is the number of days required for the district to develop a behavior or safety plan for that student. Also some updates about FOIA, Freedom of Information Act bills, because we've heard a lot about, for example, AI FOIA requests or overburdensome FOIA requests. So there have been additional forms of legislation proposed to make sure that requests are reasonable, narrow enough in scope, that they don't place an undue burden on personnel in the district. And also would, actually, sorry, I'm getting my notes crossed here. That's it for FOIA. There's another bill about notice to remedy or putting staff members on remediation plans for what's deemed either unprofessional or inappropriate behavior in schools, and it would state that written warnings cannot remain effective for longer than 4 years in an employee's personnel file. Next, EdRed is currently tracking nearly 500 active bills that in some way connect to education in one way or another. Some of them focused heavily on MCAT funding, which we've talked about in the past. They are also tracking what they like to refer to as hot bills. One of them, which was a new topic for me since following EdRed, House Bill 4416 would mandate that ESPs be provided unemployment insurance in the summer when they're not working by school districts. Another one, House Bill 4535, would allow all districts to declare any election days to be e-learning days if any of the schools are used as polling places. Hot bills related to mandates. Senate Bill 2676 would mandate cursive writing instruction in grades 3 through 5. Senate Bill 2832 would mandate etiquette education in grades K through 12. And House Bill 4811 would make it so that high schools could not start their day earlier than 8:30 a.m. So those are just a few examples of mandate-based bills that are currently being proposed. So in addition to all of that, Mary Gore, who some of you may know, she is the superintendent in Mount Prospect District 57. She has taken the charge in the current efforts to seek some kind of a remediation of the financial burdens placed on school districts by the delay in Cook County property tax bills. So she shared some updates from a group of superintendents and school board members and attorneys and other advocates who are trying to do something about this issue and make sure that it also doesn't repeat in the future. She shared her contact information with all in attendance and some links to some documents with information of how we as board members could become more involved and advocates for getting this issue addressed. So I'll share that information with the board in the near future. And that's it. Oh, one more thing. The next AdRed meeting will take place on March 6th. It will also be virtual. It will be at 1:30 p.m. and Dr. Sanders will be joining the meeting. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Kevin. So now we'll move on to IASB and COSBA, please. And it's Anisha, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to tack on just to say thank you, Kevin, for, you know, all the depth and the details that you give us, because we need all that homework. The 500 bills that you're personally keeping an eye on is really helpful. And I just wanted to add on to what Greg is saying, and that's why it's so important, right? When we go to EdRed, to the legislative dinner, and we're, you know, in a sense, breaking bread with our state legislators at many different events around town, because there is so much going on. And I remember Congressman Brett Schneider at the EdRed dinner talked about his own personal story about his connection to kind of special education in his own family. And to know that, you know, as we advocate for our students here in our own district, and we have award-winning educators like Diane Kafka amongst us doing all this great work, and I'm sure Brian will share the award-winning, I won't steal his thunder, about the awards that we have for our own educators here doing the advocacy work. So we're so grateful for that. As far as IASB, IASB has many trainings that are happening, and one that a couple of us board members around the area had an opportunity to chime into was the IASB Board Presidents Academy. And that's going to be happening again. I'm really proud of what IASB has put together with input from so many kind of board members in the area. And that's going to happen again June 13th in Naperville. And I know Greg and I are always looking to our fellow colleagues as we up our team always. So that training will happen June 13th in Naperville, unless you want to go on June 20th to Champaign, to Illini Country. Would be happy for you to go over there too. The 2026 Academy offers a full day of professional development for current and aspiring school board presidents and vice presidents. So keep those dates intact. And the ISB Advocacy Day, like I told you last time, if you haven't put in your calendar, March 24th. I checked my own calendar, but we're all on spring break, so maybe we can go, maybe we can't go. So that's March 24th. It's going to be a great day if folks can attend. And then I'll put this on your radar again, and note to self, is the ISB panel presentation deadline for the proposal is March 15th. So if you guys have ideas of what to present on, like, do tap us on the shoulder so we can get that proposal in. Also, COSBA National Conference is happening on March 12th through 15th for anybody who's interested to attend those. A couple of us have gone before. It is a great conference, a great summit, great learning opportunity. I won't be going this year, but if anybody's interested, feel free to talk to me. I'm happy to share, and Brian, Kevin, there's a couple of us who've gone before. So that's it as far as ISB and COSBA.
All right. Thank you, Anisha. And Liz, we'll go on to the NSSEO report.
Thank you. So on the January 5th Institute Day, NSSEO hosted an enormous Institute extravaganza. 125 of our District 25 staff members attended. There were 25 different stations and presentations by local and national experts. And because of our involvement with NSSEO, we were able to send as many staff members as we wanted. So that was amazing. Last year through NSSEO, the extended school year was shortened because of some construction. This year we're back on track. It's the regular schedule there. On Friday, February 20th, there is the Amy Rudolph Basketball Tournament. It's a fundraiser for students with disabilities. It'll be at Hoffman Estates High School, and our Kirk students will be competing. So that will start at 6 p.m. and it's $3 entry at the door. It's going to be a great time. The Operational Board of Superintendents has started meeting monthly. So Dr. K and myself and Stacy are all kind of constantly talking to bring you all the information. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. K. Is there anything you'd like to add from your superintendent meeting?
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate you recognizing the operational board for NSSEO has started. So it's a group of all the member district superintendents, and it's really a preview of what's coming up in the NSSEO open board meeting, which is great. So Diane Kafka has always gone to all of the NSSEO meetings, so we've always felt like we are connected. Liz, you have graciously served for what feels like many years as our board representative, so I feel like we've always felt connected. And so I've started to also join those board meetings, so I've also felt connected. So I don't have anything new to add other than I believe that next year's calendar will align better with us meeting before all of your meetings. Because it's brand new, because it just started, we didn't have our calendars available to have that cadence set up. And I could see us in the future talking about a topic that's come up twice, the S Fund. Basically, the S Fund is a code used for reporting special education costs, specifically payments made to other entities, such as NSSEO, for the tuition of students with disabilities in approved separate public schools. Our district has a variety of staff. I'll give Stacy a lot of credit, Diane a lot of credit, and Ginny in Diane's office for helping to connect the costs we have to specific students and needs. So our reimbursement is a really good number, which again just helps all of us as a community, as a board. But I can have Stacy do an S Fund presentation in the future, if so desired. But I also give Gavin a lot of credit. He's the one who's helping teach us, the CSBO for NSSEO, what the S Fund is all about. There's a long chart. It's fun and exciting for those who enjoy that. But in the end, I just wanted to recognize we have a couple staff that dedicate a lot of time to ensuring we can recapture and get reimbursed for as much as possible, which has been phenomenal. So that's all I have to add on that topic.
All right, thank you both for that report. So we are now at the consent agenda, and this is an action item. Can I have a motion, please?
Mr. President,
Yes, Kevin.
I recommend that the Board of Education approve those items on the consent agenda as follows. A, personnel report and addendum to personnel report. B, treasurer's report. C, invoices. D, regular and closed session meeting minutes of January 20th, 2026. E, special meeting minutes of January 27th, 2026. F, hold closed session minutes of October 21st, 2025, November 11th, 2025, and December 16th, 2025 per board policy 220-E1. G, release closed session minutes of July 1st, 2025 through September 30th, 2025, and November 12th, 2025 per board policy 2:220-E1. H, hold audio tapes May 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2024 per board policy 2:220-E1. I, destruction of audio tapes January 1st, 2024 through April 30th, 2024 per board policy 2:220-E1.
Thank you, Kevin. Can I have a second, please?
Second?
Thank you, Anisha. And Lana, if you could please call the vote.
Tranter,
Yes.
Jogi,
Yes.
Scapalato,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Buchberger,
Yes.
Cerniglia,
Yes.
Neerman.
Yes.
Thank you, Lana, and the motion carries 7-0, which brings us to the student learning section of the agenda. We have an information item this evening on the middle school math curriculum adoption. Dr. Fitzpatrick, welcome to you and your team presenting this evening. So we will turn it over to you when you're ready.
We've been working really hard together, so this is no different than our committee meetings. Thanks. All right, so we are here tonight, as you said, to share a middle school math program review update. And here with me tonight is Sean McGann. He's in his second year as our math and science curriculum coordinator. And we're also really excited to have Tiffany Marston and Maddie Mowry, both 7th grade teachers at South Middle School. So, the middle school math program review process connects directly to and supports the district's strategic plan to empower an inclusive, diverse community of learners to innovate and thrive as global citizens. Specifically, the program review process aligns with the student achievement goal. Through our mathematics instruction at the middle school level, we use high-impact teaching strategies to ensure all learners are academically ready for high school. Our middle school students are provided opportunities to learn and thrive with math experiences that ensure high student engagement and ownership of their learning. And student experiences are differentiated to meet the needs of all students and close performance gaps. Tonight's agenda will include an overview of the middle school math program review process and timeline, followed by more details of the phases, including research, develop, implement, and refine. And we will also recommend a new middle school math resource, share the fiscal impact, and finish with Tiffany and Maddie sharing their instructional experiences with the recommended resource. So this is a slide that's probably familiar to you all. This is our District 25 program review process, which aims to ensure that we engage in continuous improvement focused on student achievement and research-based approaches to teaching and learning. It also provides a level of predictability for budgeting and our staff. Our process is somewhat unique because of its heavy emphasis on professional learning and improving practice. Throughout the process, we integrate opportunities to build teacher efficacy and develop implementation support. Next year, we are moving from a 6-year to a 7-year cycle by extending the refine phase within our program review process from 1 to 2 years so we can examine multiple years of student data, strengthen classroom implementation, and make informed adjustments before beginning the next review. In our process, we first engage in research to analyze student performance and best practices in the content area. In the develop phase, which is the one we are currently in, we form a committee of teachers and administrators to analyze those findings, develop core belief statements, and tailor professional learning plans to build teacher capacity and develop implementation support, including a scope and sequence. To support implementation, we continue to look for ways to provide additional time for teachers to engage in professional learning and articulation throughout the school year. As previously mentioned, the refine phase is now 2 years, and this additional year gives us time not only to collect and review data and feedback, but also to be responsive to that feedback with any necessary adjustments as we refine our instruction and support to meet our implementation goals. We're pretty proud of this comprehensive and holistic program review process and how it supports our District 25 strategic plan. So 2 years ago, in the 2023-2024 school year, our middle school math program review journey began with research. We are currently in the 2nd year of the develop phase and look ahead to the implement and refine phases in subsequent years. Now I'm going to turn it over to Sean to share details on how each phase of the middle school math program review process unfolded.
Good evening. Thank you, Becky. During the research year, DSL delves deeply into the latest discoveries and advancements in the field of education. This involves actively participating in webinars, attending conferences, conducting extensive readings in the relevant content area. We also analyze current and longitudinal assessment data to draw conclusions about the effectiveness of our resources in relation to student achievement. In this stage, DSL explores various curriculum companies and resources available on the market. Many curricular resources exist, but DSL focuses on high-quality instructional materials, or HQIM, which are defined as standards-aligned, evidence-based resources designed to promote equitable and effective learning. Materials meeting HQIM standards incorporate supports so that all students can access grade-level content. Other characteristics of HQIM are that the materials provide clear guidance and specific instructional supports for educators. And the resources include evidence-informed design features to address a range of student learning needs. We comprehensively review available resources, engaging with companies to evaluate how their offerings align with current best practices. This phase also allows DSL to outline the overall program review timeline and structure for the specific grade levels and content areas. This includes drafting preliminary plans for the high-quality professional learning, which is ongoing collaborative professional learning that helps teachers use instructional materials effectively and enhance their instructional practices. And from there, a program review committee is formed and begins meeting in the next year, bringing us to the develop phase of program review. Last year, during the first year of the develop phase, our middle school math committee began meeting. The group consisted of all middle school math department members and 2 middle school associate principals, in addition to representation from DSL. Our committee evaluated our current resource, developed core belief statements, and previewed new curricular resources. This year, we formed a steering committee that included math teachers, department chairs from each of our buildings, and 1 of our math interventionists, as well as building and district administrators. A goal for these committees was to include a diversity of roles to enhance the collaborative nature of bringing teachers into the program review process. We greatly value teacher input in this process, and I want to say how grateful I am for our committee members, both last year and this year, those present here tonight, Tiffany and Maddie, and those who are unable to attend. The work they've engaged in has been detailed, it has been thoughtful, and it has brought us to where we are here today on our middle school math journey. Of the many curricular resources researched, 6 high-quality instructional materials were brought to the committee, and 4 were piloted over the course of the develop phase. We also used a culturally responsive STEAM curriculum scorecard to evaluate the piloted materials and enlisted the support of our equity and multilingual program coordinator, Shab Peloz. The scorecard helps ensure that a resource integrates students' cultural backgrounds, languages, and life experiences with their academic learning. All throughout this phase, our committee and the math department engaged in 4 major strands of professional learning. One strand included participation in the NCTM annual meeting in Chicago, positioning our team to bring back research-based strategies and a national perspective to our program review. Another strand included a math department book study on teaching mathematics in the visible learning classroom, which applies research-informed instructional practices to middle school math classrooms and explains how to use specific strategies, tasks, and assessments to create aha moments for students. Our next strand brought Susan Resnick, a math curriculum author and consultant who provided in-depth, high-quality professional learning on how difficulty and complexity contribute to a rigorous math classroom. We studied how that relates to Illinois' academic performance level expectations and our instructional and assessment practices. She offered valuable insights into our proposed scope and sequence to ensure alignment across our math pathways. And teachers also learned from Susan how executive function plays a crucial role in how students learn mathematics, including strategies for sustaining attention, working memory, and increasing cognitive flexibility. The 4th strand incorporates program training and curriculum-based professional learning, which focuses on the effective use of high-quality instructional materials to impact student engagement, achievement, and to access future opportunities. Later this year, curriculum-based professional learning will take place for all 6th through 8th grade math teachers on the recommended resource to prepare for implementation if approved by the board. You may recall the Illinois Comprehensive Literacy Plan that was adopted in 2024 and guided our elementary literacy implementation. The Illinois State Board of Education is currently drafting a comprehensive numeracy plan which is anticipated to be finalized for next school year. Based on the draft that's been released, the plan aligns with the committee's work and the resource the committee is recommending. We've identified 3 primary goals in the draft plan, and on this slide you'll see the goal mentioned and then how we will address it in blue. The first goal emphasizes the need to provide high quality, culturally relevant instruction for every student to eliminate achievement gaps. And this will be achieved by implementing the new high quality instructional material to enrich learning experiences. Under Goal 2, the plan outlines ways we need to think about math content, describing a need to ensure our instruction develops an understanding of math concepts and builds students' ability to engage in mathematics through different practices that help them be better mathematicians. The new resource balances conceptual understanding and procedural fluency while integrating the math practice standards. High-quality curriculum-based professional learning related to the new resource, involving teachers, coaches, and administrators, will support us in reaching this goal. Goal 3 acknowledges that numeracy is developed over time and involves various stakeholders across student ability levels. This will be achieved by involving math interventionists in program review, providing training for middle school advanced learning specialists and special education teachers, and adopting a resource that builds on the visualization strategies students develop in elementary school. Also, during the develop phase, the committee articulated 6 core math belief statements. This became a guiding resource, helping to unify the committee, focus our efforts, and promote effective collaboration in supporting students' mathematical development. The 3 tenets on this slide describe the classroom environment, conditions for access and equity, and instruction. The committee described a vision of collaborative and supportive learning environments that promote student growth, providing students with access to grade-level content through different pathways, and an inclusive instructional approach that supports all learners. Additionally, curriculum, assessment, and professional learning were highlighted. We prioritize curricular resources that include tasks that enhance a student's ability to apply their mathematical knowledge across settings, assessments that inform instructional decisions while providing students with feedback, and ongoing professional learning that equips teachers to empower all learners to reach their full potential. Guided by our strategic plan and the committee's core beliefs, and informed by our collective professional learning, the Middle School Math Committee recommends Savvis Envision Plus Mathematics for our new math resource. The Envision resource is top rated in Ed Reports, an independent nonprofit that evaluates instructional materials to ensure districts have access to high quality instructional materials, of which Envision meets the standard. Envision is an evidence-based instructional program rooted in mathematical content and practice standards. It emphasizes problem solving, critical thinking, and practical real-world application to strategically build deep understanding. The program includes comprehensive lessons and assessment tools to measure student progress. Supported by a robust technology platform for students and teachers, Envision also provides family engagement resources that include program level, topic level, and lesson level support, enabling opportunities to maintain strong home-school connections. It also offers professional learning resources to empower educators beyond formal in-person training. The Envision resource aligns with the Illinois Draft Comprehensive Numeracy Plan, which will further support our students and teachers in realizing the goals outlined in the plan. Furthermore, Envision offers culturally aware, differentiated support for all learners. Should the board approve the Math Committee's recommendation to adopt Savvis Envision Plus, we will implement the resource beginning in the 2026-2027 academic year. In the table on this slide, you'll see the academic year followed by the District 25 course and the corresponding Envision material for that course listed on the right. The grade level math courses in 6th through 8th grade will implement in 2026-2027. Then we will implement Envision in the 6th and 7th grade advanced math and 8th grade algebra classes during the 2027-2028 school year. This implementation approach will enable teachers to implement the new program with greater fidelity so that all stakeholders will see the long-term benefits of Envision. Professional learning will continue throughout this phase to support implementation and enhance instructional effectiveness across our classrooms. This includes providing all math teachers with rigorous instruction on best practices and resource utilization. Specialized training sessions will be tailored specifically for administrators to equip them with the knowledge and tools to support successful implementation in the buildings. And instructional coaches will be involved in the process to provide ongoing support throughout implementation and beyond. While not a part of this curriculum implementation, we want to share a bit about our geometry course, which is the class our advanced math students take in 8th grade. Through a great partnership with District 214, we have the opportunity to offer students in these classes with early high school credit. We have a memorandum of understanding with District 214 that requires us to use their curricular resource, Glencoe Geometry. This ensures that our students receive the same instruction as students who participate in the honors geometry while in high school. We also know that District 214 is engaging in conversations focused on supplemental resources. Should they select a supplemental resource, our teachers will also be able to use it and will be able to receive training on it alongside District 214 teachers. While we continuously evaluate our programs throughout the process, we will dive deeper into our student achievement data during the refine phase, with an eye on opportunities to further refine our instructional practices and meet our implementation goals. We will monitor our IAR math outcomes, map math results, along with classroom assessments. Student engagement will be closely monitored to ensure active participation and motivation. Where needed, we will refine instructional practices, review supplemental materials, and provide ongoing support to teachers to ensure effective implementation, fostering an environment for student success and growth.
So, we are recommending a 7-year contract with our program review timeline. And for comparison purposes, we listed the cost of a 1-year contract. The cost for the recommended 7-year contract is $391,716.97. The district will save well in excess of $234,000 by engaging in the multi-year contract, and this savings figure does not account for additional shipping costs and future price increases that could be incurred with yearly contracts. And just as a reminder, those of you who have heard previous presentations about curricular resources, we align that time frame with the time frame of our program review process to maximize the amount of cost savings.
So as we've mentioned, tonight we have 2 teachers from our middle school math steering committee here to talk about their experiences piloting Savvis and Vision Mathematics. So now I'll turn it over to Tiffany.
Good evening. Can you hear me? I don't know if I'm close enough. I'm kind of leaning in here. As a middle school math department chair at South and a member of the math steering committee, I had the opportunity to teach 1 unit of the Envision math program in my 7th grade classes. I felt that the Envision program materials provided students with opportunities to apply their mathematical knowledge to solve problems in real-world contexts. We surveyed our students at the end of the pilot, and several students mentioned how the problems were related to things they could encounter in real life. One of my students said, "I liked the questions and thought they were good examples of what we were supposed to learn. and another student shared that the real-world problems were their favorite part of the new resource. From a teacher's perspective, the resources built into Envision were valuable. Lessons are structured to connect visual learning and problem solving. The lesson presentations and slides helped me to organize instruction and provided visual supports for our students. There were many lesson resources to pull from and ample practice options, which allowed us to adjust instruction based on student needs. I appreciated the availability of practice problems for students in both print and digital formats. I utilized a combination of both in my classroom, and the students benefited from the immediate feedback provided by the digital practice. One of our colleagues on the math committee used the Envision materials in an intervention setting as well. She observed positive impacts in students who needed extra support. She reported students' increased competence in problem solving using tools specifically to build mathematical literacy. Overall, the Envision aligns well with our core beliefs about rigorous and supportive math instruction and prepares students for the next grade level, high school, and beyond. And I appreciated having a hand in the process that is shaping math instruction in District 25.
Thank you, Tiffany. Next, Maddie Mowry will share her experiences.
Good evening. As a member of the steering committee, I also had an opportunity to teach one unit of the Envision math program in my 7th grade math classes. Tiffany and I are grade level partners, and we really benefited from collaboratively planning instruction using the Envision curriculum. We really appreciated having access to a wide range of resources for planning and implementing engaging and effective lessons. As a middle school math teacher, we value ongoing relevant practice that allows our students to build and solidify their understanding of math concepts. One Envision feature that my students particularly appreciated was the embedded support tools for independent digital practice. These tools provided in-the-moment assistance when students were stuck on a problem, benefiting both students and me as the teacher. The support aligned with my instruction and helped students apply what they learned, whether practicing in class or at home. My students also shared feedback on the lessons and practice problems. One of my students commented, "The lessons had some really good questions that helped me use my brain." Another student reflected, "It was interesting and really engaging. It was engaging because it helped me understand problems, and it was kind of fun to learn." This level of engagement was evident both in the classroom environment and in student achievement throughout the unit. Our colleague who piloted Envision Algebra 1 found that the materials effectively supported students in building a strong understanding of algebraic concepts. The provided Algebra 1 materials also gave students the opportunity to apply those skills across a variety of mathematical contexts. After piloting the Envision program, I feel that it closely aligns with our values in math instruction and effectively supports both students and teachers. I look forward to seeing the positive impact of Envision as we move forward together. Thank you.
Thank you, Tiffany and Maddie, and Sean, actually. As this was an informational item, the recommendation to adopt Savvis Envision Mathematics will be an action item on the March 10th board meeting agenda, so we'll bring that back to you. And we're now happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Becky, Sean, Maddie, and Tiffany. Thank you. The board recognizes, of course, the time and energy to get to this point where you get to sum it all up. There's a lot of hours, a lot of effort. So, and thank you for the extra time to put it together so we can absorb it and ask you questions. And so with that, let me open it up for those questions from my colleagues. We've got some. If we can move that way, so Deb, or you want to go first? Okay.
I wanted to start with saying I really appreciate the implementation plan. Being someone who taught the advanced math in 5th grade, the 6th grade math, seeing that the 2 years ensures the appropriate nature. They'll be escalating to each of the levels, so I appreciate that. I think it looks great. I did a little research on the program earlier today just to see some reviews in other districts, and There's a lot of positive feedback, which I thought was amazing. Personalized, adaptive to learning. The program is able to monitor and support student understanding. That the teacher slideshows are very comprehensive and that they're editable, which would be very wonderful for our teachers in the district, I'm sure. All wonderful things. The one concern I had, and I'm sure you guys have discussed this and hoping that you'll be able to answer this in the way that I'm hoping. It appears as though this curriculum is capable of being taught and practiced 100% digitally if teachers wish to. And I know we have many parents that are concerned about screen time and that our students have so much screen time. Will we be suggesting that our teachers also continue to use the workbooks and pencil to paper in addition to the screen time? Because I know when looking at the curriculum, they offer everything from the assessments, the homework, the classwork, the slideshow, everything. They could use their computer all day if we wish. So just looking for that.
Thank you for the question. Yes, we definitely will be talking with our teachers about using all available resources. Most curriculum programs that are coming out now include a full array of digital and print materials. I would say our teachers were instrumental in being vocal about wanting to have those print materials side by side. I mean, rightfully so, side by side. And I know when I was in their classrooms during the pilot, they were being really thoughtful about putting those resources side by side so they could kind of be testing students' response to it. And while we know there's a need to have our students be in some digital platforms because they engage in those, you know, in other areas with state testing, they also do that. We also know, well, I can say that one of the key features is making sure there's enough room for students to show their work. That was really important to the teachers, to show their math work in the print materials. So yeah, that's a value of ours.
Liz, please.
Thank you all for being here, and thank you, Maddie and Tiffany, for trying something new. I really appreciate it. Sean, thank you for mentioning the advanced 8th grade geometry curriculum as well. My question for you is, I truly appreciate the core math beliefs. I read these and this is great, this is great. Can you talk a bit about how you will ensure that those advanced geometry students also get to adhere and benefit from these beliefs, even though they have a different curriculum? They are still our students, even though they're getting that 214 credit. So what will that look like?
Thank you for the question. I appreciate it. So our teachers that teach the geometry, the honors geometry here in District 25, also teach a section of the algebra. So they will be participating in our professional learning that's unfolding this year and moving into next year. So they will be exposed to those instructional practices as we're looking at the envisioned materials. So part of that is going to be thinking about how might that apply to our classrooms in the geometry setting. And then also knowing that there's ongoing communication with myself, with division heads at District 214, and I know Becky's in communication with her counterpart at District 214 as well, to engage in those professional learning opportunities related to the supplemental resources as it relates specifically to geometry. We're also looking at opportunities to engage more in professional learning across our district and District 214 as well. So those are some ways we're looking to address that, because you're absolutely right. They are all of our students, and if it's not a new resource in that course at this time, there are still going to be opportunities for teachers to reflect on their practice and apply some of those best practices in their classroom, even related to the book study. So.
Thank you, I appreciate that, because this all sounds so exciting and positive, and I would really love for all of our District 25 students to have this extra boost as they move on. So thank you.
Other questions? Melissa?
Thank you again, all, for being here and for all of your good work. I just had a clarification question on slide 14, I think it was. Oh, okay. I don't have a middle schooler yet, so I'm not sure. Maybe other So no, but what was the reasoning behind skipping, we went from Envision Plus grade 6 to Envision Plus accelerated grade 7. What was the reasoning for skipping Envision Plus grade 7?
Yes, it does. Thank you so much for the question. So the way our instructional pathway works in our district is that students, it's a board goal and a priority for us to have as many students take algebra in 8th grade to have that opportunity as possible. In order to do that, we want to be able to provide our students with access to prerequisite skills for the algebra class if they were to take it in 8th grade, which is a freshman level class. So part of that scope and sequence work we talked about and aligning our pathway is identifying what are those key foundational skills that students would need to have some exposure to in 7th grade so that they can increase their success and have more opportunities as they move into Algebra 1. So in terms of the accelerated grade 7, it incorporates some of the 8th grade content into that scope and sequence, which we are determining, again, based on those prerequisite skills, what that will look like with our scope and sequence. But we wanted to have a resource that gave us the access to that content so that we can make sure we're preparing our students for the next level.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Melissa, Anisha, you want to go next?
Your kids will be in middle school before you know it. I have middle schoolers who have Miss Marston, so live students. I love all of you. Thank you so much, Becky, and Sean, Tiffany, and Maddie, for like the detailed presentation. I learned so much, and having worked in DSL a decade ago, you know, all that goes into the curriculum reviews, but I see kind of an enhanced process that you explained today as far as the review process of the research, develop, implement, refine. I think it's a very thorough process that you should be really proud of, and that we're very proud of, right? All that goes into the curriculum review process. And as far as, I like Liz's question about the District 214, like I feel like, I remember a while ago when Dr. Schuler was at District 214, talked about the prediction of success for a student is how well they did in algebra, right? So the fact that you're offering that collaboration with District 214 is great. And at the same time, I keep thinking about how these children, you know, they're learning like all these AP classes and all the pressure of learning so much early and earlier. So that connection to what everybody else is learning, and at the same time advancing, that's good without the pressure element of it. Like, is it too young? But I'm sure they're not. I know that you look at if they're able to do this before they, you know, the high school curriculum in middle school, right, without the pressure of all of that. I really also appreciated the connections that you talked about where this curriculum that you're proposing meets the needs of every child. And you recognize that multicultural connection. You mentioned special needs and that development, the rigor and the support that both Maddie and Tiffany, you spoke about. So thank you so much for kind of giving us that window and that perspective as well, and having Shab at the table as well, and looking from that lens of things. And as educators and teachers in the classroom, I really appreciated the feedback from the students and you know, the qualitative research you gave us and the perspectives from the students. So thanks for giving us that. And as you keep going, you know, it was good that Deb kind of looked at the research from behind, and to continue to look at, okay, there's good things that work for students. I wonder if there's things that they found different, that they were like, oh, the other curriculum does this, but the new curriculum doesn't. As far as looking at what worked well and what were the things that was constructive feedback as well. That'd be good to hear when you come back next time for the review process. So thank you so much. I really appreciate all the information.
Thank you, Anisha. Other questions? I have a couple I'd like to put out there. First, I would just want to ask about the terms, and I've seen you use these before, the high quality instructional materials, high quality professional learning, and the way you presented those in the slide. I'm looking at slide 7. It says to me those are more than just, you know, just a term you're throwing out there. Is there standards you're holding up, you know, materials up to, or can you just tell a little bit more about those?
Sure, yeah, thank you. That was, yeah, very intentional. We have done quite a bit of research into the standards that align with what is considered to be high-quality professional learning and high-quality instructional materials. In our district, I would say we have a pretty long-standing track record of high-quality instructional materials that maybe isn't present in some other districts. But some organizations have gotten a little more sophisticated, like Sean mentioned, ed reports, in ensuring that the information they're giving us really adheres to those standards. As far as the high quality professional learning goes, a key component of that is something else Sean mentioned, which is curriculum-based professional learning. So a real focus on ensuring that the professional learning is aligned with what our curriculum is going to be. So it's not sort of living out here as kind of a separate entity. It's very much rooted in the principles within the actual curriculum that students are going to be exposed to and that teachers are going to be instructing with. So yeah, thanks for noting that. That's we're going to continue that research in those areas, but that is now definitely embedded within our program review process.
Great, thank you for explaining that. So now, if we could look at slide 5, and you've shown us this before, the different phases of the review process.
Yeah.
And my question here, or what I'm looking to understand is, when we look at the implementation phase, actually maybe just say, I find it really interesting you're extending the refine phase. Interested maybe if that's a shift in practice or you know, something just particular to this process, but that's one question. But the implementation phase, so once it's out there in the wild, teachers are using it. I imagine that you don't wait 2 years before there's course corrections, right? So could you speak about, now that we're living it, how is that different from the refine phase? How, you know, what happens in the implementation phase? That,
Yeah, so implementation, pending board approval, would start next year. And that would be where teachers then are in those classes that we specified, fully using the resource. We do know, for any of us who have been in a classroom, it's not as though, you know, we pop open that new resource and everything's just clicking along, you know, perfectly, even though we want it to. So it's important for us to recognize that this is a process where teachers are using the different resources, of which there are many. That's also something that you will find in new curricular resources. Publishing companies are putting a lot of resources into them. But then it's up to teachers to figure out which ones best meet the needs of their students. And that takes time. They need to run through a full year of you know, going through all the units and modules before they kind of get a good sense of what needs to be corrected. But you mentioned that course correction. That honestly, well, you guys know, those of you who have been in classrooms, I mean, that's ongoing. But as far as work with DSL, we're continuing to work with not only the steering committee, but also all of the teachers to provide additional professional learning. And then alongside that, check-ins on, you know, it could be everything from let's have a discussion about the different assessments that are available to our students. You know, which ones are we finding most beneficial? Are we getting the immediate feedback? It's also an opportunity for us to work with the publishing company. We might find something, and we might then reach out to the publishing company to either get more professional learning, or in some cases to make a suggestion about how they could even make an improvement to the process. Refine then is really where we are, well, we check in on our supplemental resources. At this point in time, the committee made a decision that the core resource of Envision it provides such an array of tools that they didn't necessarily see a need for something supplemental. A couple years into implementation, they might feel differently, in which case then we'll kind of review that and decide if we need to add something additional to it to enhance it. The expansion of the refine phase, I think, has a lot to do with, we're getting a little more sophisticated in our assessing of impact of not only high quality instructional materials, but high quality professional learning. So we think it's important to devote multi-years worth of time to that effort, so that the next time things come around, we have really kind of some good information to hand off to the next committee. Maybe Maddie and Tiffany will be on it again, I don't know, to really kind of review that data and make some strategic decisions.
Great, thank you. I have two appreciations I want to note. They're quickly on slide 11 and 12. First of all, on slide 11, noting the diverse pathways that Sean mentioned, and that sounds great that we're acknowledging there's more than one way to get to a goal. And then slide 12, the meaningful feedback for student in assessments, and also that they drive instructional decisions. Just articulating that responsive teaching is what we're looking for when you articulate it in that core belief, so I really appreciate that. If you could go to slide 14, and you did speak to it, and I was hoping to give you opportunity to offer a little more commentary on the phased implementation. I feel like, and you can correct me, I feel like that's a new thing, a different thing. Is that, first of all, is that true?
Yeah, I mean, I guess what I would say is we have an implementation plan for all of our content areas.
Yeah.
It just so happens that in math, in middle school math, where teachers teach different courses, the committee felt the best way to implement with full integrity and fidelity was to do a phased approach.
Okay, so so around that, if you could just share a little bit more. It's really a question of two parts. So on the one side, as we think about 2 years until full implementation, rather than everybody gets the new math curriculum, are there, and I'll just come at this different ways, are there unintended consequences that could arise? Is there a potential to introduce inequities as that phased approach? Does it complicate implementation? So that's on one side. You can address any of those. And then on this other side, I mean, you kind of spoke to it, but you could say more is benefits and advantages that come from it. Just that it struck me as new and different, and also that some of our middle school kids now have new curriculum and some don't. And so just wanting to hear more of both sides of that discussion.
Sure, and were you going to say something, Dr. K?
If you don't mind, I'm going to throw
I saw you
I'm going to throw a wrinkle into the response, if you're okay with it. Could we start with the benefits of the phased approach from the perspective of the teachers who were on the steering committee and who you took a night out to come and celebrate this work? So if you wouldn't mind starting with the benefits that you see of the phased approach, I think that would be great. I'm sorry to throw the wrinkle in, Becky.
Doesn't matter. We're going to say the same thing.
I think the reason that we would really hope to go this way with the implementation is that looking at the resource we're recommending, it is so robust with things to learn. And in order to implement with full fidelity and know what we're doing when we go into the classroom, we felt like we wanted to fully tackle one course 1 year and then the second course the next year. Doing it the other way, where we would have both of the classes, you're learning two things at the same time, is very overwhelming. As someone who's lived through it before in this district with the implementation of Big Ideas, that was very overwhelming, and you really felt like you didn't have a handle on what you were teaching for a couple of years. But this way, you can focus fully on one and do a good job of it before you go into the next, and then focus on that one more. So it was really, we felt that the students would benefit from having their teacher focused, confident in what they were implementing, versus kind of doing an okay job at two things at the same time. Do you want to add to that?
Sure. I think the one thing maybe I would add is just with the professional development and the professional learning we've been doing, a lot of it has centered really on instructional practices. So even though we may not be using a new resource with some of the classes, I think it's very possible that we will be tweaking and introducing new practices into those classes while still using the current resource for one more year.
Maddie just took the words right out of my mouth.
I appreciate that thoughtfulness. Thank you, and thank you for your candid responses. Well, unless there's other questions. Oh, Melissa, please go ahead.
Just to follow up to that, just logistically, so I know you were recommending a 7-year contract. Does that mean that the advanced levels and honors level would go an extra year?
Yeah, no, that's all calculated in that, so we backed out those costs, knowing that we wouldn't need those resources really until the end of next year, when teachers would then receive the materials to do some additional training for those courses.
So the advanced 6th and 7th advanced math and honors algebra would be 6 years then?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Thanks so much.
I feel badly when I threw in the wrinkle. Were there any potential challenges by doing the phased approach that haven't been mentioned yet? Are there any new wrinkles that we anticipate as a result of doing the phased approach?
So this actually is not another wrinkle, but I'm thinking of just another advantage that we discussed that hasn't really been said out loud, but Deb, you said you taught the 5th grade advanced curriculum. So everyone that has been on the steering committee has been a middle school teacher. And so we've had some experience, early experiences with the Envision curriculum. However, our current 5th grade advanced teachers haven't even looked at this. And so they've received no training so far. So if we were to implement everything at the same time, including the advanced curriculum, the 5th grade advanced teachers are kind of going into this blindly. But with this schedule, then that allows next year for those teachers to be able to get their hands on the materials, kind of participate in some of our planning with us, and just be more prepared.
Well, thank you for being patient and fielding all these questions. Please know we're just honoring your work by really diving deep with these questions and comments. So thank you again, all of you. And I think we're ready.
Quick ask.
Brian, I'm sorry, Brian. Go ahead.
Next month, when you bring this for approval, can we have a little flavor without too much work, kind of like that current state, right? So what are we using now? When did we implement it? What did it cost us? High level, what's the need for the investment, right? Other than the obvious, the other one is X number of years old or whatever. But you know what I mean? Just a little bit of that would be helpful.
Thank you, Brian. And thank you, all of you. I think we're ready to move on.
Thank you.
All right, we're now going on to the business and finance section of the agenda, and we have an information item for the 5-year financial forecast. And so, Stacy, I'll turn it over to you.
Excuse me, thank you. Tonight I'm going to present the 5-year financial forecast. And the presentation will cover the assumptions made on both the revenue expenditure side, the projections, some reminders or conversation about our funding for capital projects, our fund balance goals, and then just highlight some takeaways that with all the data that'll be in here, just some key things for the board to keep in mind. So as we know, property taxes represent about 80% of our revenue. For the property taxes, we know CPI for 2025, the levy we just issued is 2.9%, and for 2026 will be 2.7%. Our average 10-year CPI is 2.8%, so that is the factor that's being used in the projection for the next 5 years. These charts on this slide show both historical CPI and also show that if you look at the beginning of the extension, which is the capped extension, we started back in 2015 with 58.4 million in our tax extension. We're now, as of the 2024 levy, around 77 million. And if you applied 2.8% average across all those years, you would see that that's the line that graph follows. New growth continues to average about 0.7%, and these projections do continue to anticipate tax refunds because the refund recapture levy, while it's automatic, the abatement of such levy is an annual decision by the board. Shifting to state and federal funding, these streams of funding are vital for our specialized programs, but they come with the caveat that they are highly sensitive to the legislative climate. Specifically, on the state side, we receive about $5.3 million in evidence-based funding. This formula is driven not only by our enrollment and the demographics of our enrollment, including special education, low income, multilingual. The real X factor is the state finances, which are currently tightening up as the state continues, as we all do, to as the American Rescue Plan funds, the COVID funds expire. The state has been using those to replace some funding and will now need to tighten their belts as well, which will impact all schools. For transportation, which is a mandated categorical fund from the state, we see about $1.3 million in categorical reimbursement based on last year's claims, and that is prorated based on exactly what I said, the state financial situation. This year, it was mentioned earlier in the meeting, we have the first year the impact of the private facility, the S Fund reimbursement. As Dr. Kay said, I give the credit to our Department of Special Student Services, our special education leaders. They were all over the change in the formula, able to code our students in the right way, that we should anticipate. We do anticipate receiving about over $600,000 this year as reimbursement for last year's claims. But I haven't built that large amount into the projections. I've anticipated it will drop to about $300,000 on average as other districts catch up and start accessing that same pool of funds. On the federal side, our most stable funding source is the IDEA funding, which is mainly used for special education. We do have the National School Lunch Program and Medicaid funds as well. Medicaid funding, we are currently maxing out at about $285,000 a year. And again, those all remain subject to the shifting priorities of the federal government administration. On the local revenue side, we continue to receive CPPRT, corporate personal property replacement taxes. Those are shared, the amounts are told to us by the state at the beginning of every year. We get about $1.4 million a year through those funds. We have the rental agreements with Rand and Minor schools that we get about $1.1 million in. Our E-rate funding, which had pretty much dissipated to zero, we've been informed that there is a new pot of what's called Category 2 funds that we will have access to in the amount of about $410,000 over the next 4 years, and that will be used to offset some of the costs of our anticipated technology infrastructure needs. Student fees is about $300,000 of our budget. It's a steady, consistent, but small portion of our revenue. And then we have interest income, which you can see between the two charts. The top one is the Federal Reserve rate, and you can see that our interest income follows that trend, though slightly behind it, because obviously we're investing the money into the future, so as those rates change, it takes us a while to catch up. But the projections do reflect the federal fund rates going back, remaining at 3.5% for a couple years and then dropping down to 3.25 based on the Fed funds rate projections. We also know that as our fund balance goes down, our dollars that we can invest go down, so therefore our access to additional interest income. While the rates may stay stable, the amount we're investing decreases. So overall, our income decreases. And we know that our investment earnings, or we anticipate our investment earnings for this year will be impacted, though we don't know yet to what extent, because of the significant delay in property taxes. We know that we could have, should have, might have earned between $700,000 and $800,000 on the taxes we should have been receiving since September that we didn't receive until the very end of December. 5 months of almost $50 million at 3.5% is a lot of money. And here you can just see, as some of our other, many of our other sources of revenues don't show any real anticipated trending increases, that the property tax beat just continues to become a larger and larger percentage of our revenue budget over time. On the expenditure side, we are coming off a 4-year contract with our Teachers Association, and so at this point we are tying compensation to current staffing levels and our current negotiated salary schedules, with tying those to CPI for increases in these projections. We're up to actually about 10 retirements annually, which we used to be at about 3 or 4, so we anticipate quite a lot of staff turnover in these projections. Benefits are also based on our negotiated agreement as far as our insurance coverage, and then the various pension systems set those rates. Tuition costs, we know, will likely continue to rise, but our student population does change, and the tuition budget already does have a built-in buffer for move-in students, so I don't have an automatic inflationary increase built into the projections. Purchase services, the projections reflect a 2% increase per year. We know that some of our purchase services will have significantly higher increases, but not all of them will have increases. So 2% seems to reasonably reflect what we can anticipate. And these projections do include the projected curriculum implementation timelines that our Department of Student Learning anticipates over the next 5 years, which are shown there. Middle school PE, health, ELA, the math is already built into this year's budget, and then elementary math, social studies, and science. In terms of capital, non-capital project, but capital expenses, furniture and equipment, it does include about $1.3 million in tech infrastructure over 5 years, again, which that E-rate funding can help offset a portion of that cost. And in the current year budget, we do have just over $1.6 million built in for the food service kitchen, which comes out next year and the remaining years of this budget forecast, sorry. And then, as always, the current year budget, as well as the projections, then include some contingency funds for additional staffing, so that provides an additional buffer into the projections on the conservative side. In the Operations and Maintenance Fund, we do have a negotiated agreement with our facility staff that goes for 2 years more beyond this one. So that is, those costs are built into these projections. Benefits, they follow the teacher's contract. In terms of purchase services, again, where we see some costs, we know we'll have increases, some increase and decrease over the next 5 years. In terms of, property liability insurance, telephone cost, sanitation, depends on the contracts we negotiate, sorry. So projecting a 1% increase annually over the 5 years. Supplies also built in a 1% increase. We had a significant increase this year, if you'll recall, in the electricity cost budget. So that is built in to continue, plus a 1% increase. So we anticipate being able to cover future expected costs, especially since, as I continue to say, these percentages apply to all of the costs, whereas we know some will see inflationary increases and some will not. For capital outlay in the O&M fund, we continue to budget $80,000 a year for vehicle replacements for our maintenance fleet. And then we continue to anticipate that we will fund $1 to $2 million annually, transfer $1 to $2 million annually from our operations and maintenance fund to capital projects to help fund future capital projects, as well as transferring interest earned on our working cash funds to the capital projects fund for the same reason. Our debt service fund reflects both the tax levy, property tax revenue, as well as the bond and interest payments on our debt, all of our outstanding debt. Those amounts on both sides are determined at the time we sell the bonds. The transportation fund, I have an annual increase built in at 2.5%, and that applies against all busing and special education transportation, i.e. a lot of taxi costs. IMRF Social Security Fund, those Social Security Medicare are the 7.65%. Employer share, the IMRF rate, we do anticipate continuing to drop slightly from 8.64% this year to about 8% over the next 5 years. And those rates are all applied directly against the salaries to which they are associated. And then our tort fund, which covers all of our property liability, working cash, insurance, overall increases anticipated of about 3.5% per year. Our capital projects fund, the 5 years is based on the plan, the master plan that was presented to the board in December by Ryan Schultz. The 2026 summer projects total about $4.3 million, and the 5-year total cost was $21.5 million. The life safety fund, I'm budgeting about $200,000 over the next 5 years of life safety work, a minimal amount. The 10-year life safety plan came in, again, estimated cost, it's under $5 million, which I think it's under actually $3 million, which is significant considering that lots of districts get those kind of, the results of those studies, and they're very significant. But kudos to us being able to keep making those investments in our buildings. We could shift, just for the board's understanding, we could shift and levy more in life safety and then pay for the qualifying projects out of life safety. But because that would just take money then out of our O&M levy, which we're using that to fund capital projects, it's just easier management at this point to just fund it, transfer out of O&M, process all of our projects through capital projects. There's also a whole set of documentation that needs to be done with the state when it comes to life safety work. So it's not an avenue that we need in this district right now to cover those costs, but is an avenue some districts need, so that's why we see it. I'm hesitant to stop levying that fund because I believe once you don't levy for 3 years, you lose the ability to levy. So I wouldn't want to put us in a position of that, but you know, we can continue to do maybe one project every couple years out of those dollars. So this is the comprehensive financial snapshot, consolidating all of that information, all of those assumptions that I just shared with you. These are all district funds, and shows our financial picture over the next 5 years. It's understanding kind of the interplay between all the revenues and the expenditures and the fund balances is critical to maintaining our fiscal stability while continuing to deliver high-quality educational programs and maintain safe and modern facilities. Areas I would highlight are, number one, the area circled in red. That is what I would call our operating budget, pre-making any investment in our buildings. That is balanced. You can see we're at a deficit this year and next year, but then over the next few years, on an operating level, we have a surplus. Capital investments then, capital projects are highlighted in orange. And you can see that part of the reason we have a surplus is because it's pre-paying for investments in our buildings. So if you look even back up to 2030-31, surplus of 4.1, but we're going to spend 4.5 on capital projects. So surplus, but yet offset by our needs to invest in our buildings. Finally, you see our fund balances, the very bottom line the percentage continues to decline, partially because as our revenues grow, it's a percent of next year's revenue. But we also know that our expenditure increases continue to grow faster than our revenue does. As always, I caution that these projections are based on what I know today, but many of the factors impacting this is out of our control. But this projection should show the board that we are in a situation that we don't have to urgently react to financial climate changes. It gives us time to carefully consider options as we look to make decisions because we have the fund balance to give us that time. This graph, and it does exclude the costs we pay for debt service and capital projects. So this would be more of a typical operating budget. You can see that as time goes on, personnel costs, salary and benefits continue to represent more and more of our total budget. This is a visual picture rather than looking at all those numbers in the financial forecast. And this projection confirms our continued fiscal strength, anchored by our AAA bond rating and the financial recognition status that we have from the state. Our strategic positioning allows us to absorb unforeseen emergencies while simultaneously investing in our core pillars: competitive compensation, updated technology, and safe and modernized facilities. Notice our fund balances are predicted to dip below the 60% level at the end of the 26-27 year. This is when the bond proceeds will run out and we begin funding capital projects through capital projects reserve and operating funds. However, reserves are projected to remain within the 40 to 60% goal through FY31. As I said, there are many factors that could impact this, but it gives us the time to, we can annually review this and always be that next year out in looking at where we're going to be. And again, there are a lot of factors in here that conservatively give us reason to believe that these typically our projections turn out better than we would show. In terms of funding for capital projects, we have, as you know, strategically been setting aside funds for future capital projects. However, we did a significant amount of construction around 1997, which is why we found ourselves in a position over these last few years that a large investment was needed again at this time, almost 30 years out. The information that's presented by Ryan Schultz over the past number of years, where if we lived in a world of unlimited resources, we would set aside $6.7 million every year to cover our capital needs and stay debt-free forever. But in the reality of school budgeting, that would require pulling funds away from other critical areas. I would suggest that our goal isn't to hit that $6.7 million number every year at all costs. It's to use it as a guide to ensure that we are funding our infrastructure at a level that is sustainable, responsible, and reflective of our actual facility priorities. Again, with a disclaimer that projections beyond 5 years become significantly less reliable. I do believe that our capital projects model is funded at least through 2032, which is then when our debt service extension base is 100% paid off and frees up that the opportunity to continue levying and access additional funding for capital projects should the need exist at that time. As a reminder of why we set our fund balance goal where we do, and as we all know, based on the very late tax bills this year, if we don't get tax revenues until January 1st, then we are paying 50% of our year's costs out of our reserves, and therefore that's why we set those reserves as we do. And as I said, in terms of some final takeaways for the board to focus on, we face some real headwinds. Our largest revenue source is effectively capped at the 10-year CPI average, about 2.8%, although that is higher than 5 years ago, the 10-year average. We also have to contend with expenses that we have no control over, like utility spikes, gas prices, timing of tax receipts, which can eat into our investment earnings, and then always keeping that watchful eye on Springfield for any additional talk of unfunded mandates or property tax reform. However, we also have some strategic advantages in that we continue to tie our salaries to our revenue increases of CPI. We are currently maximizing a high interest environment, and our EBF funding remains a steady baseline. Again, the forecast maintains a level of contingency funds which are not typically fully utilized, and we will automatically recapture prior year tax refunds unless the board takes action not to do so. But I think the most important takeaway is our fund balance is not just a number on a page, it's a buffer. It's a strategic buffer. It gives us the stability to handle emergencies, and more importantly, the breathing room to make long-term decisions based on data rather than reacting in a crisis. We are in a position of strength, and our goal is to stay there. And with that, I'm happy to take questions or clarify anything for the board.
Great. Thank you, Stacy. Thank you again for always just this thoughtful and detailed forecasting, because it really impacts the decisions we make here and questions we have about our future. So with that, any questions around the table for Stacy? I think you explained it all impeccably. Thank you, Stacy. So the next item is an action item, and this is for the Food and Nutrition Services Serving Equipment bid. And I believe, Sandy, you're coming up to take us through this. So thank you for joining us. And can I have a motion, please?
Mr. President.
Yes, Kevin.
I recommend that the Board of Education approve the contract for the purchase of front-of-house serving equipment at South and Thomas Middle Schools to Gator Chef in the amount of $655,941.66.
Thank you, Kevin. A second, please.
I'll second.
Thank you, Anisha. All right, Sandy.
Good evening. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the reasoning behind our choice to go to bid for this front of the house serving equipment at South and Thomas. The initiative behind this really aims at replacing our infrastructure that's exceeded its maximum lifespan. Like Stacy shared in her presentation, we did a lot of work in 1997, and the equipment we're looking to replace was purchased in 93 and in 1997. So we have gotten a good life out of this equipment. So as we're finding the last 3 years since I've been in the district, some of, we are having higher repair costs. And so I think the idea of phasing in these equipment purchases are instrumental in how we move forward financially. So along with the infrastructure, it also, by modernizing these areas that our students are eating out of every day, it really allows us to create more flexibility in our menu offerings. You get pretty stagnant and when you only have the space to work from that you've been working from for 30 years. A lot has changed in our field, a lot has changed in what we can offer our students, so I think it will increase the student experience and allow them to come into a place that they feel comfortable and a nice atmosphere that would be inviting for them. And so I think that kind of is the impetus behind why we went to bid for these serveries, as well as following formal federal procurement law. So is there any questions from the board?
Okay, questions for Sandy?
I don't have a question, but I have a comment.
Okay.
Sandy, no, thanks for sharing that, and that is a long life in getting this new equipment. And I just want to say, I really appreciate, Sandy, how you remain cutting edge in the field and how so many districts kind of look to you and so many people look to you. So thank you for keeping our kitchens up to date and spot on.
We're trying.
Oh, yes. Yes,
That was
cutting edge is I thought about that myself.
All right, so if there's no questions or comments, then Alana, if you could please call the vote.
Jogi,
Yes.
Scapalato,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Buchberger,
Yes.
Cerniglia,
Yes.
Neerman,
Yes.
Tranter.
Yes.
Thank you, Lana. The motion carries 7-0, and thank you,
Thank you.
Sandy, for being here. We're now at the superintendent report on the agenda, so Dr. Kay, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, President Scapalato. So a couple of thanks acknowledging our collective impact. Parents, I just wanted to take a moment to extend a sincere thank you to our parents for attending the conferences on Monday. Our schools were filled with meaningful conversations between families and teachers, and that partnership is exactly what makes our district so strong. So just a big thanks to all of the parents who took the time. And then following that up with staff, taking a moment to thank them publicly to recognize all of the work they did to prepare for those conferences to make sure that the time was meaningful for the parents. In addition, not only to our classroom teachers, but our specialists, our support staff, our custodians, and our office teams. At this time of year, I'm constantly impressed by their tireless work and their heart that these employees pour into the buildings every day. Whether it's navigating the details of parent-teacher conferences, supporting social emotional needs of our students, or maintaining our facilities during these winter months, I hope we are done with it. Our staff's commitment to excellence remains unwavering, so just a big thank you to our staff for all of their work at this point in the year. Allison's reminder of we are past the 100-day mark is an indicator. We are in the thick of it. And lastly, it has already been mentioned here once as far as a thanks to our neighborhood network, specifically at Windsor, the ML teachers, but in addition, it's the entire staff at Windsor and it's the entire community well beyond the Windsor community. So I just want to take a moment to express my deepest gratitude and incredible support that the neighborhood network of volunteers has given. Parents, community members have worked tirelessly to support our students and families in need. In just this past month, since this last board meeting, we have witnessed a remarkable outpouring of support from coordinated food drives, successful fundraisers, to collaborative efforts to establish a safe route to school for families with specific transportation needs. This network has shown what it means to be a true community. Lastly, these efforts go far beyond charity. They provide stability, safety, and a sense of belonging for our students. To everyone who has donated their time, resources, and voice, to these initiatives, thank you for ensuring that every child in District 25 is seen and supported. You are and remain a vital part of these students' success, so thank you. And now, moving on to another update. Strategic plan has already been mentioned as well. Thanks for recognizing the effort the students are putting in. Our next one is actually next week on Tuesday, February 4th from 8 to 12. That one is called the Setting Direction, so I'm looking forward to that one. Team anticipates some emails coming out before the end of the week, prepping us for the materials for the Setting Direction retreat. That's it for the updates. Now I'll move into Section B, the Freedom of Information Act report. In our ongoing commitment for transparency, the district fulfilled 8 FOIA requests over the last month. Our administrative team ensured that all inquiries were addressed accurately and on schedule, meeting all legal requirements and time disclosure. Any questions about those? Good. Moving on to Section C, the second reading of policies. This is an action item.
Thank you, Dr. K. Can I have a motion, please?
Mr. President,
Yes, Kevin.
I recommend that the Board of Education approve the policies and exhibits as presented.
Thank you, Kevin. A second, please.
A second.
Thank you, Anisha. Dr. K, do you have anything to add on these policies?
Just to note that there have been no changes from the first reading to the second, so I would recommend we approve them as presented.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. K. Any questions? All right. Seeing none, Lana, if you could please call the vote.
Scapalato,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Buchberger, Cerniglia, Neerman, Tranter, Jogi. Tranter said yes. Jogi?
Thank you, Lana. I don't know what's going on with my mic, but the motion did carry 7-0. And Dr. K, back to you.
Yeah, next one is letter D. This is also an action item.
All right, and so this is for the resolution calling on the Cook County Treasurer and other Cook County officials responsible for the issuance of property tax bills to resolve systemic issues, which was presented at our previous meeting. Can I have a motion, please?
Mr. President,
Yes, Kevin.
I recommend that the Board of Education approve the resolution calling on the Cook County Treasurer and other Cook County officials responsible for the issuance of property tax bills to resolve systemic issues as presented.
Thank you, Kevin. A second, please.
Yes, I second.
Thank you, Anisha. And Dr. K, any?
So this resolution has not changed from the last time we talked about it in the last meeting, but I just wanted to highlight a couple points. It's fundamentally about stewardship. As a board and administration, we have a responsibility to protect the public resources entrusted to us and to ensure those resources are available, predictable, and aligned to student learning. Points I made in the last meeting, so I'm just, and we've talked about it a couple times up here already, so I would present that you recommend and support the current resolution in front of you with no changes.
Great. Thank you, Dr. K. Any questions or comments? All right. Lana, if you could please call the vote.
Michael,
Yes.
Buchberger,
Yes.
Cerniglia,
Yes.
Neerman,
Yes.
Tranter,
Yes.
Jogi,
Yes.
Scapalato.
Yes. All right. Thank you, Lana. The motion carries 7-0. And Dr. K?
This next one is letter E, also an action item.
Thank you. Can we have a motion, please?
Mr. President,
Yes, Kevin.
I recommend that the Board of Education approve the resolution prohibiting the use of school district property for civil immigration enforcement staging areas, processing locations, or operations bases as presented.
Thank you, Kevin. A second, please.
Second. Sorry, it's getting late, guys.
Thank you, Anisha. And Dr. K, anything to add this month?
Again, no language changes, just as I presented at the last meeting. The purpose is to ensure the board has a shared understanding of this resolution, its intent, and how it aligns with our district values and strategic plan. Lastly, I would just add that the schools function when students and families feel safe and supported. The intent here is not political, but practical, ensuring that district property is not used in ways that could interfere with instruction, could disrupt the environment, or introduce safety concerns during the school day.
Thank you, Dr. K. Any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, Lana, again, if you could please call the vote.
Buchberger,
Yes.
Cerniglia,
Yes.
Neerman,
Yes.
Tranter,
Yes.
Jogi,
Yes.
Scapalato,
Yes.
Michael.
Yes.
Thank you, Lana, and the motion carries 7-0. And next is an information item, and back to you.
Yeah, this next one, thank you, is an information item. It's a item we talked about last time, and I have the boards prepared last time to talk about interests and solutions for adding student voice. So I'm going to take what I was planning to do and just condense it a little tonight. I'm going to hand out a sheet. It's all of the items we listed last time, just to refresh you. So I'm going to hand that out first, and then as you are refreshing your mind on what we put up there, what I want you to think about is which of these interests must be true no matter what approach we take. So regardless of whether we have any of those solutions in place, what interests must be true no matter what approach we take. So I'm going to go hand those out now. I'm not asking you to check any that are no longer relevant or no longer important, but what are one's interests that are a must for you, regardless of what we choose to do, interest-wise, what is like, we have to have this?
And Dr. K, can we pick multiple?
Of course.
Okay.
Start with your top three, just to help limit it. Go for it.
I'm just going to say, if anyone wants to jump in, please feel free. Okay?
I can start. My first three were student engagement, student perspective, and cultivating belonging.
I share two of Melissa's, student engagement, student perspective, and strengthen relationship with community.
I'll just chime in because I had the same three that Deb had.
Just to make sure I get that, so you had student engagement, student perspective, and strengthen relationship with community?
Correct.
Thanks, Kevin.
And I'll also add to student engagement, student perspective, and then my third was the student service advocates.
I couldn't cut it to three, but I'll give you four. Student engagement, student perspective, strengthening relationships with the community. I also liked nurturing ownership of their school district.
Any others? We're good? Yeah? Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. I think I had some that were the same. Cultivate leaders, cultivate belonging, value, civic literacy, and I also had an asterisk on nurturing ownership of their school district.
All right, this helps just sift it a little bit. I'm not getting rid of any of the others, but it helps sift it a little bit. And one other thing I wanted to do was, again, I'm modifying what the whole plan was, but that's okay. looking at both interests and solutions, so both top and bottom, and you may not have familiarized yourself yet with the solutions again. What do you feel is an absolute non-negotiable? Like what is, similar to what we just did up the top, priorities, but what is like an absolute non-negotiable, something we have to have automatic, if there's anything that stands out? Whole page. I would say, for example, a non-negotiable is probably the top 2 under interests. In order to have student voice, we're going to have student engagement. We're going to have their perspective. Like it's an automatic. You have to have them. Totally non-negotiable. Are there any others that stand out to you, whether it's interests or solutions, that you feel are non-negotiables?
I feel like involving as many students as possible. Inclusion.
I second that.
For those who are checking off the list, it's the second to last on solutions.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree to that one, and also want to add the stay for a portion of the board meeting to kind of see it live in action.
And just as you say that, what I don't want people to hear is, all right, then we can never have a solution where they stay the whole time. That's not what I'm hearing. We're not eliminating options. I'm just trying to get at what are some non-negotiables for you guys up here, if that makes sense. We're not eliminating anything. I'm just trying to highlight or tease out some non-negotiables and some must-haves.
I agree with the involving as many as possible.
All right. This is the first time you've seen this list since the last meeting, so I want you to take this and think on it. But this helps me at least start to look at what are some options we could start to look at using some of the feedback you've just given, but we are not eliminating anything at this point. Are we all comfortable with that so far?
Can I make one more suggestion to a non-negotiable in my mind?
Yeah.
I'd really like to make strengthening the relationship with the community non-negotiable. I think that's really important.
Can I just ask a clarifying question? When you are thinking about that, Deb, strengthening the relationship with the community, and I'm thinking about a student voice, whether it's on the side here or temporarily in front of us, I see the community in that being the students. Are you seeing the community differently? Is the community the parents? Is it the local businesses? Like I'm seeing it as it's the community of our students we're serving, but I don't know if you're seeing it the same way.
I think that's a really good question. I think immediately my brain is going to the student, their educators who are listening to their participation, and their parents. That it's really helping to grow the community together with their engagement and participation.
Thank you for the clarification. All right, so no specific actions taken. I do want to take this and start to mull through what are some solutions that might meet a lot of these needs, but I don't want you to think that a decision's been made and I'm coming back here with an action item I'm hoping to approve. So I appreciate the quick dialogue, and feel free to take this with you and provide any feedback individually to me as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. K. And I think we have one more under your report, right?
We do. We have letter G, the draft of the board meeting dates. This is also an informational item, so it should be the first time you guys are seeing this draft. My cabinet team has had a chance to review it. Stacy's reviewed it. And you'll see in the executive summary, there's just 4 dates that have been pointed out as why they're significant. But just as an overall, we look to schedule our board meetings. We'll continue on Tuesdays, and it's the 3rd Tuesday of the month is for the cadence and for the scheduling for not only you guys, but our team. So are there any questions or concerns about the current draft We'll come back at the next meeting to have the possibility of taking action on it. But between now and then, we can also dialogue and have any concerns or questions.
Sorry, did you say it would come as an action item when?
It could come as early as March. If we have concerns, no. April. Thank you. And this one is queued up early. Phenomenal. Thank you, Lana. Don't get any closer to that door. Any other questions for now? So next time it'll come back as an information item. We can still have time to change or evaluate. I would anticipate we're not going to change the day of the week. I think we're pretty locked into Tuesdays, but the Tuesdays we choose can still be looked at. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. K. Lana, do we have any blue slips for this second community input? Seeing none, we are now at future agenda items. So are there any new topics that have been discussed with Dr. K that any member would like to bring forward now? All right, seeing none, the board needs to return to closed session to continue working on the same topics announced earlier for closed session. The board cannot take any action during closed session, and we will not be taking any action when we return to open session afterwards. Can I have a motion, please, to adjourn open session and return to closed session, please?
Mr. President?
Yes, Kevin.
I move that we adjourn open session and return to closed session to discuss the aforementioned topics.
Thank you, Kevin. A second, please.
A second.
Thank you, Anisha. And Lana, if you please call the roll.
Cerniglia? Neerman? Yes. Tranter? Yes. Jogi?
Yes.
Scapalato?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Spookberger?
Yes.
All right, thank you, everyone. That motion carries 7-0, and thank you, staff, for being here.